I met my real father. And then when I was at his funeral, no one knew
You
me.
met your real father at his funeral?
No, sorry. That sounds weird.
Alright, that
no,
sounds
no,
weird, bro.
I found out about my father through my uncle, whom I talk about on stage, who's on drugs and stuff. And I ran away from home. I went to his house, and then he was high one night, and he just told me, so-and-so is not your real daddy. And I was like, what? Why you fall asleep? What do you mean? And then I spoke to his wife. His wife is also on drugs, and I was like, Auntie Anne, is it true?
How old were you? Wait.
I was like 19 or
Okay.
20. I was like, Auntie Anne, is this true?
Why did you run away from home?
Because it was difficult at home. It was, it wasn't a
good environment
So
for
I
you.
was like, I'd rather be with the copper.
Assalamu alaikum. Okay, guys, welcome to the Best Medicine Podcast, which was supposed to be a weekly podcast. But hectic things been happening to me. All my kids have gotten extremely ill, and I've been trying to also edit my most recent stand-up comedy special, which is coming out very soon, and I'm going to be performing the show for the last time live in South Africa the end of this month, the 28th of July at Marcellus Theatre at Empress Palace. And then I'm not doing shows in South Africa anymore. Okay, not touring. I'll do maybe like guest appearances, like unannounced at stand-up comedy clubs in Cape Town, but nowhere else in Johannesburg or Durban or East London or Pretoria or wherever in South Africa I'm not performing, bruh. This is the last time, 28th of July. Outside the country, I'm going to try and perform. Got a gig in Gaborone, and at the end of the year, I'm doing the UK. But other than that, South Africa, dude, this is the last time you want to see me live, 28th of July. That's your last opportunity. But I am putting that show out very soon, right? It's been called Riaad Moosa Live. That was the recent iteration, after the pandemic. But when I put the special out, it's going to be called Voices in My Head, right? And it's me dealing with my psychopathy. I've been going mad over the pandemic. I talk about this. It's been crazy, dude, and I'm sorry. I wanted to put out the podcast every week, but it's just been like, first of all, my son got mumps, right? And then Mikael, I thought he was going to get mumps again afterwards. But I developed viral meningitis, dude. Viral meningitis, we had to take him in. I was suspecting it for a while, and now I haven't practiced for medicine for a long time, but I was expecting it. He had like the classical neck stiffness. Also, I couldn't hold him, and he didn't want to put his head on my shoulder, so I was freaking out, didn't want to tell Fazana. And then I took him into the hospital, Rondebosch Medical Center, saw the lovely doctor there, and our worst fears came true, viral meningitis. Then the worst part of that, you have to do a lumbar puncture. You have to take this long ass needle, stick it into my youngest baby. And my wife didn't want that. So I had to convince her, first of all. We did it under ketamine. And ketamine is called, like, the street name is called Special K. And it's a drug that they actually use to like sedate soldiers on the battlefield, right? So they can do like impromptu operations. So we used that drug on the dude. But my son didn't, the first dose didn't work, right? So now I'm saying, Fazana, everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to be okay, right? It's going to be okay, right? So he gives him the ketamine and he's all like, and we think it's fine. They take the needle out and he's like, yeah. My wife was pooping herself outside. I had to console her more than the child. I had to give him an extra dose, But alhamdulillah, after all of that, I think he's much better. He's on the mend. And when he's on the mend, my other son, Zamir, the oldest, the heir to the throne, the Hafidh al-Quran, who's almost finished now, right? In the last lap, I think 4.5 juice. I think this guy's got mumps now. And this is the day he's supposed to go back to madrasa. Suspicious. But anyways, so it's been dramatic, and I apologize for not putting this out. But what you're going to do, you're going to listen to an interview with me and Keenan Cerff. Now, Keenan has had an interesting life. And he's a pure example how you turn traumatic experiences into comedy and humor. And he's open for me, a number of times, and he's an interesting character, and we talk about comedy because, amongst other things, this podcast is about the therapeutic nature of comedy, the healing aspect of it. Because I definitely find it healing. I just wanted to dissect other comedians' minds to try and see, how they feel. So enjoy this wide-ranging, I almost got like Cape Flats coming out of me, wide-ranging conversation with me and Keenan Cerff. And, come, if you're in Johannesburg, come check me out on the 28th of July. Otherwise, if you want to support the podcast, go to Patreon. You can get a whole lot of extra ad-free episodes. Also, you have access to all my comedy specials. And even the newest comedy special, Voices in My Head, I'm putting on there. Okay? So enjoy the conversation with Keenan Cerff. And, I'll see you again next time. Regularly. I promise. Right? I promise. Soal like Kasam, 10,000 Quran. Allah kan my most doodstraf. Welcome once again to the Best Medicine Podcast. I'm here with my bro Keenan Cerff, my opener, who's soon to be a headliner. I don't know if you are a headliner yet.
I've been starting to headline gigs, yeah.
Okay,
I'm
fantastic.
Entering that threshold now.
Yeah, that space, because you can't just be like a opener your whole life, bruh.
No.
Okay, you've done your one-man show already?
Of quite a few times in quite a few cities.
What's the name of your one-man show?
My name keeps changing. So initially it was I joked my way out, but now I think we had a conversation one time very long ago where you said because it looked like I changed from COVID and in the time of COVID because we hadn't seen each other in a while, and it is true I did, and so upon more writing and more reflection of everything that's happened, I've now changed it to I got a story to tell, which I think is more. Ooh, it's got a story to tell.
It's suspenseful.
Yeah. So as you can tell, I put a lot more thought into what it is that I'm saying, which direction I want to go with it, and especially with the middle part of the set, I had a whole lot of personal stories, but now I think I just funneled it down to like one important message in the middle.
You seem to be a person who's transformed a lot of your trauma into jokes.
This is very true.
Right? And that is not the case with everybody.
Yeah.
I don't think specifically I transform my trauma into jokes. For me, I'm actually a serious guy, as you know, like off stage, and comedy is opportunity for me to be a bit more playful.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Like I started out as a young person more like serious and restrained, and as I've gotten older, I've gotten more playful and strange. Whereas my friends, as younger people, were all out there, and then they've sort of matured and become more conservative over time, where I've done the opposite.
Yeah.
When did you realize you wanted to do comedy? Or you had sort of just the sense that this is something you potentially could do?
I think I realized very young on primary school, around primary school time, because I found it hard to speak to people.
Yeah.
I was always shy and quiet.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was comedy. I didn't know what it was called, what it was bracketed as. Over the years, I watched Russell Peters and Pablo Francisco.
Okay.
I had a DVD, my uncle stole some DVDs and and he came to bring it to my mom's house.
Yes.
And then I watched the Russell Peters show, and I remember watching him crowd work, and I was like, that is amazing. Pablo Francisco was doing accents and impressions,
voices,
doing Arnold Schwarzenegger and all of those things. And then that was around high school time, and then that's when I realized, like, oh, whatever these guys are doing, I want to do it. And then the very first thing I ever did.
When high school?
Grade 10. It started my second year, grade 10, because I failed, because the first year I was rolling with the wrong people. And then after that, I was like, no, man. Instead of falling into these traps, I'm going to have a good group of friends. I had good friends, and then And then the first thing I ever did in front of an audience was I told my English sir I want to be a comedian. That was the first thing, grade 11. That was the first time I ever put it out there.
So oral.
No, not even an oral. It's just my friends. I told my friends, and my friends were like, tell sir. And then I was like, okay. And then I told my sir, and then my sir was like, oh, they perform in front of the class. The worst mistake ever. I'm surprised I'm in comedy now because that day it was so bad. And then I still remember thinking, I have to see if I pass the matric, I have to see these people for a whole other year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In hindsight now, like if you do bad in comedy now, you don't see those people again.
Ever.
But in grade 11, I had to be with them for the rest of that year.
Did you ever get a chance to redeem yourself?
I did, because in the next year, in my matric year, the first time I was ever on a proper stage. I hosted. There was 2 hosts on stage it was a talent show at Steenberg High Hall. Right. And different kids were doing different things.
A talent show.
Sorry. Yes, sometimes the Lavendale is just data. And then they had a talent show.
No, you didn't. You said it correctly.
And then the Newell Foundation is an organization in Lavendale where a lot of us used to go to after schools for different programs and stuff. They try to keep us away from the bad stuff. And then it was Grease. They were doing a production of Grease as well. They didn't want me to be there. They wanted me to host, and then I was hosting with this guy, and it was going fine. It wasn't really funny or whatever, but then he started roasting me. Right?
He started roasting you.
Yeah. And then I looked at him, I was like, yo, what's happening? And he gave me that look almost like, come, do this. And then we went back and forth. And then I remember saying, so where I'm from Lavendale, when someone's tooth is rotten, they say you have Bluetooth, right? They say you have, I don't know why. They just call it Bluetooth, right? So I remember what I told him was, I remember telling him, yo man, I'm trying to send something to a friend backstage. Can you put your Bluetooth off? And the crowd went nuts. And that place had like over 500 people standing and sitting and whatever.
Yeah.
And they went nuts, and I was like,
one joke. Yeah. Were you able to follow it up with anything?
It was just that thing.
It was just that. And that was enough.
That was enough, because after the thing was done, everybody came to me and they were like, Bluetooth, yo, that's so funny, Bluetooth. Yeah. And in my mind, I was like, yo, I need to do this thing. Yeah. Like, I need to try. There was a time I got a hiding at home. I came out of a difficult home, so there was a time I got a hiding because I made a joke with one of my stepfather's friends. Someone was in the toilet. So I asked, is someone in the bathroom? He's like, no, someone's in the bathroom. So I was like, oh, can I go sit outside? And then the man laughed, and then when I got home, your mother make jokes with all the people. I was like,
oh, really?
Yeah. So I was like, oh, damn, okay. Hey, nah, that punchline didn't work. I mean, it's a punchline.
Yeah, but not like that. Yeah, but I mean, were there any like people in the family that are your comedic influences? Any people that you thought, nah, this bra is funny. I like what he does, you know?
Oh, like other uncles?
Or did you just...
So I can tell you this much. So the family would generally make, like whenever we came to my grandma's house, my stepfather's mother, they would usually like roast each other and make fun of each other or whatever.
So you used to hear that? So people used to make guys...
Yeah, and they used to make fun of me also.
Oh, okay.
And I never had any comebacks or anything like that. But where it did come from, what I later on learned in life was I met my real father. And then when I was at his funeral, no one knew
You
me.
met your real father at his funeral?
No, sorry. That sounds weird.
Right, that sounds weird.
I found out about my father through my uncle, whom I talk about on stage, who's on drugs and stuff. And I ran away from home. I went to his house. And then he was high one night, and he just told me, you know, so-and-so is not your real daddy. And I was like, what? Why you fall asleep? What do you mean? And then I spoke to his wife. His wife is also on drugs. And I was like, Auntie Annie, he said,
how old were you? Wait.
I was like 19 or
Okay,
20.
okay.
I was like, at the end, is this true?
Why did you run away from home?
Because it was, it was difficult at home. It was, it wasn't a
good environment
So
for
I
you.
was like, I'd rather be with the copper.
Yo, bro.
I'd rather be there than to.
Yes, you
than
want
to
a more wholesome environment.
You know,
with
like
with good role models. You
just-
don't want to
yeah,
be
yeah,
at your house.
You know,
Let me hang out with my supportive
my uncle, my
relatives.
uncle and his friends would all come and they would all convene in the lounge and we'd all go to the rooms and then they'd do their thing and whatever. And then I would ask my uncle, like, what are you guys doing? Then my uncle would be like, it's Bible study. Don't lie, Uncle Theo, it's not. And then, so I rather stayed there by his house. So when I eventually met my dad, met him like
Wait. So then he told you that.
Yeah, and then I went to my mom.
And then did you talk to him at all again more after that?
No,
he
I
explain?
didn't. I actually, you're the first person to ask me that. I didn't actually talk to him about it. I was just like, I asked him, I asked his wife, and then I went to my mom and I was like,
How soon after that did you go to your mom?
Like the next day.
The next day.
I went to my mom and then my mom was like, yeah, it's true. And I was like, what? Why are you saying
So
it like
you
that?
thought a certain person was your father?
Yeah. And
for how many years?
For my whole life. I thought he was my actual dad and...
Your stepfather?
Yeah, and he was also like, very, let's just say, difficult with me, right?
Yes.
So my whole life I thought, okay, this is just how fathers are. I had no idea of what it was. Actually, I just thought all dads with their sons are this hard and difficult and all these things. But then when I would go stay over at friends' house, and then I'd see like, but why are they getting, the dads are so nice.
Yeah.
And that's why I would always be away from home. I'd always want to stay over at friends' house, at cousins' house, because I was like, I want this. Whenever I came home, it was just, my stepfather would come home drunk on Sunday nights from being away for the whole weekend. And then I'd need to vacuum his car, like late in the evening. It's like I must do it. I can't not do it. So like all of those things is hence now why. So on the thing of my father that I wanted to tell you. I met him, then I saw him for like 5 more times after that, and then he passed away. And then I went to his funeral.
Whoa. I need to dissect this. So you asked your mom first, you told your mom, and she said yes.
Yes.
Now, how soon after that did you meet your father?
Like the week after.
The week after that, bro. And how were you feeling over that period? What was going through your mind? What were you angry? What emotions were you feeling? Were you excited? What?
I think what I felt was like, I was like, yo, this is a way out. You know what I mean?
Okay, you're hoping that it's a way out.
Yeah, because I'm like, yo, this man is gonna... I didn't even think anything of like, yo, I didn't think anything. I didn't think of the more important questions like, why weren't you around, all of this.
You were just hoping that this could be a savior.
Yeah, I was hoping like, okay, it's gonna change now. He's gonna be around and all of these
19.
things. And yeah.
Did you know him before as someone else?
I didn't know he existed.
How far did he live from you?
He stayed in Zikufle. I don't know how far Zikufle is from Lavendale. It's not that far.
I used to stay in Zikufle.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
So he apparently stayed in Zikufle and whatever. So he wasn't that far either. But it's like, and then after he passed away, and I met...
Wait.
Yeah.
Okay, so you met him.
Sorry, I keep jumping the guy.
Yeah, you want to tell the story. I'm gonna get it. And if I'm being too...
No, it's fine. Please,
too personal,
no,
just tell me. Zach. So then you met your father for the first time.
Yeah.
How was that meeting? Where did you meet him?
He came to my mom's house, but I was alone at home, and like on stage I talk about me being an awkward person, and then the day that I met him, this man was so like, I was like, yeah, he is my father, like he really, because he was hooting outside. My mom told me here's a picture of him from like 1980 or something.
Jeez.
This is him. I was like, don't you have a Facebook photo? She's like, no, I have a photo.
That's what
Then I was like, okay. And then she's like, he has a red car. I was like, what car? She's like, I don't know. It's a red car. I was like, this is very great information, mother. Thank you. And then I was like, he's going to come at 12. 12 o'clock comes, a red car pulls up and he's hooting. Now I'm from the hood, right? So you have this like instinctive street smart. So I'm thinking to myself like, is this him? Isn't him? I don't want to get kidnapped. Yeah, right. What's happening? So he's hooting. Eventually I open the window. I see him standing outside outside of his car. He sees me, and here's where I realized it was awkward because he just started to do like,
yeah.
And he just thought he didn't know which way to stand. And then eventually I came outside, and the first question he asked me, of all questions he could ask, the first question he asked me is, are you alone at home? I was like, what's wrong with you, bro? Like, I just looked at him. I was like, I can see you are my father, because I have a history of doing awkward stuff. So I was like, I could tell this is my father. Anyway, I was like, no, my cousins are inside. And it's weird to meet your father like that.
Yes.
Anyway, we got to talking, and then we met a few more times after that, and then he took me to my other...
So that period, what was your feelings during that meeting?
Again, like I said, it was like a whole new... Like I told you, I kept going to different aunts and uncles and whatever. And my other grandma, I kept staying at different people's houses because I never wanted to be home. But people would often eventually say like, yo, you must go home. You know what I mean? Because you need to talk to whoever it is that's the problem. But with him, I just thought, this man is going to take me under his wing.
Right, so what happened after the first time?
Then he introduced me.
Because you had this expectation.
Yeah, so then he introduced me to different family members and things like that. And
The first time?
Yeah, I introduced me to my grandpa, who is still alive today, but he's in his 80s, so he's also old.
Yeah.
And as soon as he met me, so he had a kind of an idea of, I don't know what the right story is, but according to my grandpa said that he did know that I might be there, which is such a weird answer. It's like, oh, there might be this human that belongs to your father.
That is your legacy.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Like, I mean,
but
part of your bloodline.
Yeah, but
he's going to take the family name forward.
Yeah, but he never reached out. He said, he did say like, I think I knew or whatever.
Did you ask your father any harsh stuff?
I never got the chance because I didn't think he was going to die. I was trying to like...
So you met him for the first time. And then how did he pass? How did he pass? Was he ill at that time? Was it a freak situation?
No, he had a big drinking problem. This is why I don't drink today.
Yeah.
But a lot of people just think they just assume I'm Muslim. So
yeah, you do look Muslim. And you greet everybody with salam.
Yeah, because like I was like raised by my grandma to like, you know, when you are around certain people. You greet them as their thing. Yeah. And I have a lot of Muslim family also.
Yes.
So it's also because when I went to visit Auntie Fika and I stayed there for the holidays, I would fast with them, I would maghrib with them, all of that. Yeah. My cousin would go to madrasa and then ask questions and stuff.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
a very common thing in Cape Town because we like grow up so close together. It's like it's not foreign for people to, you know, just understand the culture.
Yeah. So we learn from each other. And eat time, we go over to people's house, and Christmas time they come over to our house. That's how it was. So I never grew. I was always a soft, kind kid, and especially with those things that happen, I would always, open up to people easy because that's how I grew up. You know.
So your dad, did you notice any sort of love for stand-up or not stand-up? Well, maybe not stand-up, but for comedy from your father? Did you have any sort of sense of humor that you noted?
Something that I was trying to say all the time on the day of the funeral, but I'll get to that.
Yeah.
So when I did meet a lot of my aunts and uncles and whatever, at the time I was doing stand-up. I can't remember. I don't think I told his family, but I just know that they would say that he's funny and whatever. But now, finally, it comes. So on the day of his funeral, no one really knew me there except for my grandpa and his sister. Like, they are only two people that knew of my existence.
So
No one else.
Who's this bra?
No one else. I was just like a random bra there at the funeral. So one of the people, he was a policeman. So one of the people that he worked with,
Your dad was a policeman?
Yeah. So one of the people that he worked with went onto the podium at the church and at the funeral and said, of all words, the person said this words. He was like, Wayne was a very funny man. If Wayne was a comedian, he would have gone very far. So then at that moment, I was like, this comedy shit is for me. Like, this is...
There's too many, like, this is signs from God and shit.
Like, yeah, so I was like, of all things that happened prior to that moment, and of all things that happened thereafter, of all the challenges that happened thereafter, I think back to this moment, because after he died, I never got anything, because his wife just, took everything. I remember the HR of the police station contacted me, and the HR was like, listen, we spoke to his wife, and his wife said, he doesn't have any children when we asked, but I remember him telling me, and that's why we contacted you, but nothing came of it, and I don't know why, but that's fine. So then over the years, I've been, like I told you,
So you don't have any stepbrothers?
No, it's just me. Like, the lineage ends with me.
Yeah.
So, like, if I now, then that's it from this,
Yeah.
So then anything that happened in my life after that, I just think to myself, like, I am meant for this stuff. I am, because that day at the funeral, he said the word comedian.
Yes.
Like,
when do we ever hear those things?
When you're at a funeral.
Yeah.
Like, and it's nothing to do with no one's involved
And
in
not
comedy.
like he used to make us laugh or nothing like that. He said specifically the word.
It's not like he
comedian.
tried.
He could have.
He could have just said he was silly, whatever.
Yeah.
But he said if he had to be a comedian, he would have gone very far. I feel like that none of the money and things.
20 years old, 19 years old.
Yeah, like that was he died when I was 22, 23.
Oh, okay.
Right? And after that, upon reflecting on everything, I just thought to myself, none of that money thing matters, because I think he gave me a gift that no one could touch, which was a sense of humor.
Yeah. Wow.
And because he, according to everybody that I spoke to, he was very sharp with comebacks and stuff. And you've seen me like do the thing, so...
Right, that's what you do, bro.
And then that's the one thing that he gave me that was untouched, that no HR lady could touch, that his wife couldn't touch, and no one could touch. And since then, I've gone on, and I've just, like, amidst the challenges from Lavendale, amidst the challenges in my house that I grew up in, all the challenges in life, I just kept telling myself, he gave you this gift, you have this gift, you have this gift.
I got another potential title for you.
What?
A gift from my father.
Ah, damn.
Just think about it. It's interesting because like a blues room was that for us in Johannesburg.
I heard so, yes.
So it was run by... No, he did... I don't think he did blues room. He did the Comedy Underground. So there was this like, which very armchairish student venue, edgy, very, very cool, free vibes, like... and that was John Flismus's place.
Okay.
And that's sort of my home club then, the club. And then there was this upmarket offering, blues room in Sandton, that David Kibuka ran.
Oh,
and
yes,
Trevor used to go there all the time.
Yeah.
So that was, I think, almost Trevor's home ground.
Okay.
And that's where like sort of Dave Kibuka and Trevor's sort of collaboration started.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
And look where they are now, bro. Like Trevor's gone, but Kibuka's still producing.
Is he gonna stay there?
I don't know. I haven't spoken to him.
Oh,
I haven't spoken to him. I would like to.
Robbie's there as well.
Yeah, Robbie up and down.
Robbie opened for Trevor, and then after that, he went to the Comedy Cellar, and then he was watching Dave Chapelle and Chris Rock on stage. Yo, bro.
No, that's a dream of mine. I would love to do that. Just to be in New York for a period of time and just do stand-up.
Yeah.
Not to go in for heavy shows, it's actually to experience the life of a New York comic, just to be in the place where the best comedians are.
Yeah.
I know like London is also an amazing place, but I mean, I think
no, there isn't.
There's no place like New York.
There isn't for New York.
Yeah.
Like to
New
have
York
the two of them just come and like whoever else was made to be on that night. If you were waiting there, like
got
you don't even catch feels.
Sorry, brother.
Like,
Sorry, brother.
You get to see like the two of them just working material.
Yeah.
Just roughing off each other.
You know the story with me and Chapelle, right?
You did mention it to me.
Yeah. Like the worst moment in my life, I failed miserably. It shattered my self-esteem.
Yeah.
I'm like, I had the opportunity with the king, with the goat, bro. Right? He actually brought me in. I don't know what he was doing to me. Some fucked up mind game. I don't know what it was. Right? I don't know what. First of all, Mos Def was there. And the weird thing about it, I was in Montreal, but it felt like one of my shows, which I loved.
Yeah.
The fact that we were backstage, it felt exactly like if I were to do the Civic Theatre, Nelson Mandela Theatre. That size of venue, backstage seemed like backstage, crappy foods, people just hanging around.
Yeah.
Except Jennifer Garner walked in.
Yeah, name dropping, but
Jennifer Garner.
Yeah.
Is she the one? No, Jennifer. Who's the one from Hunger Games? Jennifer Lawrence.
I think so, yeah.
But that's who I mean. Jennifer Garner was married to Ben Affleck. Sorry, that one walked in and I think they were smoking something. Mo Amar was there, obviously back because that's my connection. That's how I got in there.
Through him.
Right, and then they carrying on about stuff. And Chapelle, at one point, it's empty inside in the room. Chapelle pulls me into the room and puts me, because there were two chairs like this, right across each other. Yeah. And put me in the chair directly opposite him, and then he sat like this. And freaking sloshed out of his mind. Yeah. So this is a Muslim guy, that's where I figured out he's Muslim. Drunk, there's alcohol bottles everywhere. Right? Yasin Bhai doesn't drink, right? He's dressed in a half kurta. Yeah. Right? But he's obviously comfortable in that situation. I'm not used to Muslims like this. Like the Vata slums are usually...
Yeah.
Right? Not like this, bro. You know? So it was just the one. He put me opposite him, and in my mind, I'm going, what am I supposed to do? Oh, he put me here. Chapelle's here. Okay, Riaad, say something. You know you can say a lot of things. You're an intelligent guy. And then I'm like, and just as I'm about to start, because he doesn't say nothing, he gets up and walks out. And I'm sitting there feeling like a pop. All right?
Yeah.
Like a proper pop.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there. I don't know what he did. I don't know what he... Like this is completely opposite to normal social... Yeah. What's the word? You know, the normal structure and fabric of human interaction. You don't do that. But anyways, that's my experience. And then I just remember, like, just feeling palpable fakeness and narcissism when we were there. People are not caring about you. They're only caring about what they can get out of the situation. Yeah. But we digress from the original podcast, right? When we ended, you were telling me about the policeman at your father's funeral. You said that your father could be a comedian, and that was very inspirational for you. Yeah. And then I had to cut the podcast because I had to go see my kids. And then I said, no, we'll pick it up again. Yeah. And then you thought we just going to shoot the same podcast. And then you wore the same outfit, right? Because you thought I have to have continuity because that's what we do.
I was like, are you just saying
you were
that
wearing the exact same thing. You were sitting in front of the mirror, making sure the beard. No, it seems a bit longer, right?
I'm wearing the same underbrook, everything, socks, everything.
Exactly.
I left my outfit there on the bed, just like that.
And now I'm here dressed like this. No,
because
it's a different day. But so, coming back to that, that was a very poignant moment, and that's what your father left you, and it's a beautiful thing. And then were there any other? There weren't necessarily any other funny inspirations in your life. When then did you get exposed, or decide to make the jump?
So when I was, my first job was in a call center. I started working there, and then Keenan Cerff, he's a comedian from Mitchell's Plain.
Yes.
But he was a team leader at the time.
There by you guys?
Yeah.
Oh, quite.
That's where I met him, and he was sending, because he's a team leader, so he'd have access to send one email to the whole business.
Everybody.
Yeah. So then he would send out, like, he has this comedy show in Mitchell's Plain that's happening.
Yeah. Premium.
Yes. Premium sports.
That's a room, bro.
That's the energy in that room is insane. So then I'd always make jokes in training. Whatever call center I was in, I'd be known as that guy. That's also no one took me seriously, because I'd always I just make jokes. I can't help it.
Yes.
Then so when I was in a call center, I made jokes, and then my friend saw the poster, and my friend was like, "Bro, you must go for this and whatever," because my friend also stayed in Mitchell's Plain. Then eventually pestered me, and eventually I was like, okay, I'll reach out to Keenan and whatever, and then messaged him, and I can't even remember which night exactly it was, but I think Dylan Skews was on that night. To myself, I was horrible. Yeah, I wasn't really funny, I wasn't really like bombing, but I was somewhere there, like that lukewarm.
Yes.
But then I kept going, and
so Dylan was on. How did you do?
Oh no, everybody that was on was fire. No, I had what I thought was fun. Like I was trying, as a new comic, you always do what you think is funny.
Yeah.
And I was doing horrible stuff. Like I was talking about people getting neck, because there was times I was rolling in different areas.
Yes.
And then there's one area in particular I saw someone get necklaced. So
hectic.
So
this is a good topic for humor, right?
Yeah, so in my mind I was like, that,
let's see a foreigner get set alight with a tire and burn.
My guy, someone robbed someone in the area, 2 people robbed people, and then they just, I'm not even going to say it, but it was horrible.
You have to say it now, bro.
So they gave one guy a match that was lit, and they gave another guy a match that was lit, and they said, you better,
And you just sitting there with popcorn, bro.
Everybody's standing there, and the people are like, yeah. And
everybody's around. Was the foreigner? No.
No, I can't even remember, but I just know that they gave one guy a match, other guy a match, and they told you must burn him, or we throw you with stones to death. And then they told him the same thing, and then the two of them panicked.
Okay, where was this, bro?
I got to say it was
outside there by my house.
No. It was in the car seat.
Okay, yeah. Okay. You don't have to be exact, but more
and then the two guys panicked, and then they just fell against each other, and then poof, and then I'm just like, and then the police came, and the police was just like, you guys must all
dissipate.
Yeah, and then it was just the wildest thing. So I put myself in so many areas, and
so you told that
I was trying to. I said my stepfather fell asleep on the toilet when a girlfriend at the time came a long time ago, came to visit, and then it's just like horrible stuff.
Yes, but I mean, so comedy does come from tragedy. Right?
Yes.
But the thing about it is, so I would find that a lot of people who went through hard lives would laugh at that. I find like when you see, a lot of hectic stuff even online, there's certain people who come from, backgrounds where there's a lot of trauma, they can laugh at that.
Yeah.
And then the people who had very stable, lovely upbringing, they're horrified, bro.
That's the
thing. They will sit there and they will go,
and shocked. Must I phone the police? Oh my goodness.
Like, are you okay? We need trauma counseling.
Yeah. And there was.
Do you have PTSD?
There was letting some people after shows at the beginning who would tell me like, I know a psychiatrist, I know a therapist. If you need help.
Because your comedy comes from pain. It's clear.
Yeah, but
if the first day you said that, that's what you're drawing on, bro.
Yeah. But I didn't know. it was too raw too soon for a lot of rooms.
Of course.
But then I wasn't.
And you surprised by this?
There was some rooms that I performed in that was like very, like my people.
Wait. At that first show, you said this stuff about the necklacing.
No, not the necklacing, but the father falling asleep on the toilet and all of these things.
And
then there's this giggle like.
Okay, you fell asleep on the toilet.
Yeah, and like, cause the girl wanted to use the toilet, and then I had to like knock on the door, and I had to be like, "Yo, man, like wake up, bro! Come on!" Like, it's just, and he's like in a proper sleep, and I'm like, "You don't even care."
Okay, now that's interesting. And why did he fall asleep on the toilet?
Because you're drunk.
Okay, now that type of stuff is what you're drawing on. Like, no comedians came up to you afterwards and going, "This is interesting."
So that was the thing about the Cape Town comedy scene for me at the time, was that no one took me under their wing and guided me. So people would just be like, whenever I asked for advice, people would just be like, "Keep going, man, you're doing all right, keep going." And then where I found my voice was when I left Cape Town for the first time to go perform in Durban. Then the first 2 nights I did, prior to that I had a writing session with Tsitsi Chumia.
Yeah.
He got me my first proper joke, because I had a joke where I said Keenan Cerff, which makes my initials KFC. That was my only funny thing I had. Then when I sat with Tsitsi, and Tsitsi was like, girls get disappointed, because it's drumsticks and thighs. And then we were roughing, and then I wrote that, but then I had that, but only. Then I went to Durban, and the first 2 nights I bombed horribly, but then I met Carvin H. Goldstone, and he's the reason my career just took off, because he saw me bomb, and then the next day he was like, "Yo, what you doing tomorrow? Let's meet up." And then we had a conversation like you and I are having now. And he just asked me about my life, and then he was like, "Yo, but these stories of yours, like, why aren't you doing these things? Why are you trying? Why are you trying to be funny? If you do your stories and you be authentic, the funny will follow. You will find that." And then I was like, "I don't know. I was just trying to be funny." He was like, "No, dude, like," and then he was like, "You know what? Write a new 5 minutes. Write these stories. 5 minutes of this. Write this," and then I started talking about my uncle. Then I started. And then the shows thereafter, because I still had shows. And one of the main show that I did before I left was at the Pumpkin Theatre.
Yeah.
You know the Pumpkin Theatre? It's in Palito. It's like an underground theatre there. It's an amazing room, and it's like underneath the hotel. And then that night, it just clicked. But and I had like the best 5 minutes at that time. And then it worked there. Like if people from Durban laugh for you as a new comic, then that means something, because Durban is very notorious for because people don't know how to navigate.
But you know why that is? Because you started authentically. Like, it's weird because a lot of guys don't start out authentically. Even me, like at the start of it, you start broader. You're going to make jokes that everybody can relate to.
Yeah.
You use you as a template for that, but you expand it towards what everybody experiences, right? So if I talk about my Muslim experience, I don't talk about my own personal Muslim experience. I talk about the common Muslim experience that hopefully a lot of other people relate to. And that's how we started. Also, you could do in the start more broad race jokes, talking about groups of people more than you can do now.
Yeah.
Right? Because there were less comedians, and also because it was still new.
Yeah.
But now there's more comedians, and in order to be unique, and there's lots of funny guys, but very few people are unique because they keep on talking about these broad things that anybody can say, right? You started very early on talking about things that only you can say.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah, I did, but I just didn't know how to. I didn't know.
Put jokes in it.
Yeah. I didn't know how to put jokes in it.
I had the authenticity. I just had no laughs.
And I was very, very like raw with it. So when I came back to Cape Town, comics still didn't, like, even though I came back funnier, like a little bit funnier, and I had the thing to work on now. I found this is how I write jokes. I figured out how to write jokes. I wasn't funny yet, but I figured out how to write jokes.
Yes.
And I came back, was still not was getting like spots and whatever, but wasn't getting like respect. So then I went to Johannesburg thereafter. Got recognized there faster than what I did in Cape Town. Like Nicholas Goliath saw me perform there, and he's like, "Yo, man, when you come back, I'm gonna give you a paid spot." And then I came back to Cape Town, still no respect. Like Cape Town took long to respect me, and I don't know why. I don't know what it was.
So it seems like so as you know, this podcast is a lot about the psychology of comedy and stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
So you're talking very much less about the laughs that you're getting from the audience, and you're talking more about the approval that you're getting from your peers.
Because...
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, because...
You can lie if you want to. Okay. Turn into a therapist here.
No, but that is essentially what it was at the beginning.
Yeah.
Why I am the comic that I am now is because I stopped caring. Like about 2 years ago or whatever. I stopped caring.
Let me just say, on way.
Do you know the evidence here?
Well, they don't know the time. And she's not going to be watching this. She's too busy looking after the kids.
Yeah.
Like trying to find out where I actually am.
Yeah. Anyway, so in my earlier years, because it stems from the issues of the childhood issues of trying to, everything that I did was to, show my stepfather like, yo man, because my stepfather would tell me like, I wish you were more street smart. And then what I started to do, then I started to roll with gangsters, and then it was a problem as well. And then, you're too soft or whatever. And then when I found comedy and I moved up in comedy, I used that as like, look at me now. And then he still didn't care. And then when I was in the scene, then it shifted from trying to impress him to trying to impress the comics. And in Cape Town, no respect, but in Carvin respects me in Durban. They booked me there in Durban, paid spots. Come back to Cape Town, little paid spots. Go to Joburg, paid spots. There I got the thing with Trevor Noah that side. All of it, and then came back, and then slowly I started to win Cape Town over. But then in the last 2-3 years, then I just realized like, you've done all these great things, like you had it in you all the time. You didn't like give yourself that pat on the back, like, because I kept, so it's like I was racing and I kept trying to like look up in the stands and you see me. And now I'm eventually like, no, I see me. I'm like, I'm funny. I am. Yeah. I know what I bring now. And then I've managed to perform it like, with yourself, with Craig Robinson, Ken Jeong from America. And I run comedy rooms now and I run it very well. So I take everything that I just learned and I apply it to myself and I try to apply it to my personal life as well. And now mentally I'm like, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm a little bit stronger. And I don't think I would have learned these lessons had I gone through this thing in stand-up.
Stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
And how healing it was actually.
Yeah.
Because what I find so healing about comedy, to a certain extent, it's can be an immediate drug.
Yes.
Right? The laughter can be a drug immediately and you get that hit of dopamine and approval. Right? And that can give you a high, a brief high.
Yeah.
But staying the course in this process is a lot of failure.
Yes.
But then eventually you get this, because if you have the dream of yourself, or this vision, or this intuition of someone you could be, right? In order for that to be real, you gotta get feedback, real feedback that sort of matches the dream of yourself.
Yes.
Right? But at the same time, while you're on that journey, you gotta, believe that who you are now is enough.
Yeah.
Right? That's from a psychological perspective.
Yes.
But from a psycho perspective, people don't believe those things.
Yes.
And they only believe they're of value when they're going to get there.
Yeah.
And then when they get there, they still feel not enough.
Yeah.
Right? They say like everything you will do is already you. It's like they say this, like an acorn is eventually, if it's watered right, if it grows right, gets enough sunlight, it's going to become an oak tree. But everything in that oak tree is already in that acorn.
Yeah.
Right? So I wish you the best, keep going, and I think we must, meet every now and then and chat, and and hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm off to get my kid now.